Ouch, I'm supposed to use stealth in this part. And by stealth, I mean the grenade button. I always get the two confused. It's Medal of Honor Special Edition. And no games fall under greater scrutiny than big-budget, heavily marketed shooters. Like this one. And to put this one under an even greater microscope, this is a direct competitor to you-know-who. That's right, Duke Nukem 3, Modern Warfare. But this is Medal of Honor! Now, if you've watched this show before, you know I prefer laser beams in my shooters. I'm not really a huge fan of playing video games about the war that we're fighting now while there's soldiers fighting in it and you're sitting at home playing video games. Kind of ironic. If this is their idea of a modern warfare killer like me playing it, they missed everything they were shooting at. Not that it's broken or unplayable, but for a game with this kind of star power, like what's its thing? It looks nice, and the audio design, well, the audio design is fantastic. It's some of the best sound design work that I've heard in any game as of late. But still, other than just the sound, what's this game's defining feature that separates it from everything else? I'm a little lost on that, but I do like the sound. Because through most of the game, you'll be surrounded by combat with gunfire and explosions all around you, jets flying overhead, miniguns shooting over you. I would say the sound designers took some inspiration from the sound design in Black Hawk Down. It's that good. And through most of the game, you'll be crawling through mountains in Afghanistan, and they look pretty. It's a shame there's a war going on. It'd be cool just to sit there and drink a beer and look at the sunset. But that's not what you do in this game. You're in the US military, blowing up the Taliban. The politicians screw everything up, and you're fighting heavier odds than you should have been. And it's an uphill battle, no pun intended. Occasionally, you're helping to spot for the AC-130 gunship, there's some driving sequences, and while the storyline is short, it's definitely intense and gets better as you play through the game. The second half of it is far better than the first half. The controls are as good as any other shooter out there, so what's wrong with the game? Really the expectation. I think that's about it, because this is a Medal of Honor game, and it comes across as being just another shooter. Albeit a very nice looking one, but it should be more than that, and I think it says something that the game is packaged with Medal of Honor Frontline from 2002, because that was a memorable shooter. And I like to see older versions of games packaged with the newer ones, because it gives more bang for the buck. For what it's worth, you get a lot of game with Medal of Honor Special Edition. You get the campaign, which isn't that long, but it is intense. You get Medal of Honor Frontline, and of course you get multiplayer. But you also get some below-average cutscenes and extremely jerky gameplay at times. Especially during some of the ATV driving scenes earlier in the game, and during the cutscenes. At times, it just doesn't feel very smooth and a bit jerky, which is surprising given the size of the release and its impeccably well-made competition. If you're just interested in the single-player campaign, I would suggest giving the game a rent. Because even though it stumbles over its own hype and perhaps the competition, it's got some really cool things in here, my favorite of which is the helicopter scene. Because they could have removed the entire first-person shooter element from this game and just focused on these helicopters and the shooter-on-rails gameplay here, and I'd have been really impressed, because then it would have stood out. Yeah, now this is what I'm talking about. The only thing that would have made this cooler is after you blow up everything, you land the helicopter inside a volcano and then hang out with Ernest Borgnine. Medal of Honor Airwolf Edition. I'll have to speak my heart here. Instead of wasting all of these amazing visuals and this incredible audio design on another average shooter, they should have been used to full effect to make the best helicopter game ever. And they didn't. And that's probably why I'm disappointed. I tested Medal of Honor multiplayer, and, it's multiplayer. But the matching was fairly quick and painless. It ran smoothly, at least on the PS3 version. I'm not really into this kind of gameplay, so here's a few seconds of it. Okay, that's great. Back to helicopters. I guess the market wants first-person violent shooters. I prefer helicopters and massive explosions created by said helicopters. Blowing trucks off of mountains. I mean, how's that not cool? Too bad the rest of the game comes across as so average because the helicopter scenes are so cool. But that's Medal of Honor. It's a tough genre to compete in, but they really had a chance here with the helicopters, and hopefully they'll just abandon the rest of the first-person shooter stuff and go Airwolf, Blue Thunder, Wild Bill from G.I. Joe style on the next one. I'm going to review Medal of Honor Frontline separately. It's excellent, and I'm really happy to see it included with this package. But in the meantime, designers of this game, pick up the Airwolf license, and you know what to do.